juxtaposition, fragmentation, illusion, symbols, and themes in the love song of J.L. Foucault. This poem by T.S. Eliot. You are acquainted with it somehow. So, first of all, without wasting time, juxtaposition, that is bringing two contrary things, uniting two contrary things, and some specifically two opposite situations. So let's hear there. I'm quoting a few examples in the message for more. So in the poem begins with "Let us go, then you and I," and then patient with rise on the table, and then again, "Let's go, then you and I," and then "Let's go and visit." So repeating this thing, but contrary to it, there is this thing. Do I dare? Once he says, do I dare? And then again he says, do I dare disturb the universe? So look at this contradiction, bringing two things. Let's go there, and you and I. There is a kind of confidence in it and a boldness where a person is showing courage and is very clear in his vision, in his mission, and then again saying, do I dare disturb the universe? So there is this contradictory nature of the same person, how they have been united into this poem, the love song of J.R. Foucault. And then again, when he says, I've known them all, the arms, talking of the beauty and the learnedness of. And next, there will be time for revision, for visions and revisions. There will be time for you and me. So, on the one hand, he has claimed this thing twice. I have known them all. It's twice. Repeated this thing. I have known them all. And then again, there will be time for visions and revisions. So means that if you are very much aware of something, then why you need visions and revisions, and why you need this thing. There are so many other examples in which contradictory or things which are opposite to one another, they have been brought together, they have been juxtaposed. Even this incorporation of that very thing, where we see that in the beginning of the poem there is a love proposal, and directly there is a change, there is a shift from love proposal to what is happening in the outer environment. Evening spread against the sky like a patient with the eyes on the table. So evening spread against the sky, it's very much different from patient with the eyes on the table. This is how contrary or things which look opposite to one another, like apparently no connection can be established there, biological thinking, but not biological, by and then logical thinking. There is no sense can be established, but he has done it, he has united them. There are other examples, but I'm just giving you clues how to find these things. Then fragmentation is that characteristics in it in which too many fragments are brought together, and it has become a mark of scholarship, specifically in this postmodern world. The most you bring in fragments of different things and unite them into something, one single whole, so it gives a wonderful look. That is the process of state of breaking or being broken into fragments. In literature, it is referred to as specifically with reference to this poem, it will mean this kind of impotency in terms of sexual behavior that is shown somehow, and there's some kind of reluctance is there. So this is fragmentation. Now look at this love proposal, evening spread against the sky, etherized patient, yellow fog. I missed the word fog, but this is yellow fog. Workers returning home, woman thinking negative about roof rock, murmured singing, dreamlike situation and awakening. This is that is how, like, love proposal is one idea, then unconsciousness of a physical object is another, or abstract object is another, something abstract is another, then etherized patient is another, yellow fog, rubbing its muzzle and rubbing its fur against the window panes. Workers returning home and cheap hotels and situations like that. Women thinking negative about group work. So all these things, they are different fragments, or both the ways. If they are fragments, and these fragments have been brought together like juxtaposition, but in the other sense that one single poem, that is a love proposal, it has been broken into a number of pieces. Like every third line, there is a different story. I have got this thing that is love proposal is one story. Evening unconsciousness and the end time of the world, it is another concept, another fragment. Then etherized patient, it is another. Yellow fog, that is environmental concerns. Another idea is referring to workers returning, that is class struggle and uh, misery of the common folk, and then women negative thinking about pro-prog, there is misogyny. So he is moving on, breaking that one single whole of love proposal into a number of segments that you see, and then Mebert singing that is imaginative creature, and then dreamlike situation and a weak awakening, that is a return back to this practical life. Illusions, there, this is the most striking and interesting phenomena in Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. There are two types of illusions. One are those which are direct illusions. So in direct illusions, we see that Dante's, the Italian poet's lines are taken from his poem Inferno. Inferno is that novel in which, sorry, that long poem in which this Dante is visited hell, and he says that there are different segments or different cells and sectors in the hell, and he is visiting one by one all these segments, and he is talking to people. And there in the beginning, that is has been placed, that is, you know, the person in hell is telling him that I'm telling you these things because I'm not going to return to the world. If there had been any chance of return to the world, so I would not have told you these things, but I'm not going to be in the world again, so I'm telling you these things. Otherwise, and if you are, and he thinks, you know, the person in the hell thinks that Dante is not going to go out of the hell. This was just an imaginary travel to hell, and he was starting an imagination too. But the person in the hell is supposed to be a real one, and he thinks that Dante cannot be out of here, so that's why he is sharing his experiences. So he is implying here that, you know, he is talking about how his personal experiences of love and of relations with women, that how he sees it. So that's why he placed this epigraph from Dante's Inferno at the beginning. So this is a direct allusion to Dante's work Inferno. Then when we are talking of Michelangelo, the popular, or rather I should say the most popular Italian painter and artist, and there is a direct reference to it, but it is in a wonderful way that people are so shallow that, you know, they are just naming him for the sake of fashion, that they are well aware. It was a fashion to talk about Michelangelo and about Shakespeare and about Marlowe. And so if you mention their name, it seemed to be that you are educated and you are well informed in so many disciplines, specifically art and literature and painting. So women come and go in talking of Michelangelo, that is direct reference, and we moved into the history of Michelangelo. Then Hamlet, the Prince Hamlet, because of his procrastination, he is unable to take action because he is too philosophical, and he is thinking and thinking and making excuses for his laziness, for his lethargy, that this detestable lethargy, this kind of despicable laziness. I you know, that is many times the cause of too many problems, laziness. So he is making excuses for laziness, lame excuses for his laziness, that he is not taking action because of this reason, valid excuses that he is finding. Although they are lame, but he thinks that is. So the way Hamlet is procrastinating, he is delaying his action. Similarly, this Prufrock is entertaining different doubts. He has become whimsical, and he is entertaining doubts, and he is not taking action. So Lazarus is a biblical reference, allusion to Bible, and that this is a story that a person who was dead, Lazarus, and Jesus Christ went to his tomb and asked him to come, although his body had decomposed, but he was brought to life back by Jesus Christ. Baptist and Salome. Baptist was a person who had predicted something and it didn't occur, so the powerful person, Salome, probably the king, demanded him to be killed. So Baptist was killed, and his head was presented to Solomon on a plate. He has referred to it directly. Then there are certain indirect allusions. In 12th night, Duke Orsino says their dying fall, and he has referred to that fall in this love song of Jehal. We have talked of Hamlet, this procrastination thing. Polonius is, he is not an important person, although he is wise, but despite being wise, he is not important. And then he is referred to in the Marvel to his coy mistress. But besides that, there is something really interesting and striking, and that is that he is alluded to John Keats' Ode to Nightingale, where towards the end he says, "Do I wake or sleep? Do I dream or I am awake?" Towards the end of Ode to Nightingale, he says, and then he has reincorporated that thing when he says that when I was listening to the song of mermaids, I was enjoying it, and then all of a sudden a human voice disturbed me and brought me back to this. So that's dreamy or sleep side kind of situation, sleep there. And that is well. Symbols, magic lantern. It's a wonderful symbol that he is incorporating into the poem. And magic lantern was the early form of modern projector. And in the projector, you can see that the small pictures and the small words can be projected onto a screen on the wall and visible to all the people clearly, and it is an impact on he is incorporating this symbol of magic lantern, that what is passing through his mind, what kinds of emotions, what are his nerves going through, if he had a magic lantern installed into his body, and the feelings could be printed or projected onto a screen, so easily visible to the young woman that he wanted to propose. And that's why our emotions, or many times, or rather all times, it is really difficult to impart one's emotion onto the minds of another in the same way as they are in the mind of the sufferer. So this magic lantern, it can still be used in these terms that we want many times, like in Purtu we says, in Purtu we say, that is because we acknowledge this thing, that feelings and emotions cannot be completely expressed as well as cannot be thoroughly understood. So he has incorporated this magic lantern symbol into it. That is, with the help of which he would be able to show his emotions and his feelings to the woman he wants to propose. Then another symbol, that is mermaid. You can see the picture. There are some fictional or imaginative girls who are having legs of fish, and the upper body is like that of girl, and really attractive kind of pictures are there. You've seen, you might have seen as well. So this is a symbol and a wonderful symbol. It can be delineated with too many things. Pygmalion who wanted, because he didn't like the practical woman, so he wanted to create one for himself. So here he is incorporating this thing that these mermaids are lovely, or they are supposed to be lovely and very much attractive because they are not real. And whatever is real is flawed, and whatever is not real is not flawed. So mermaids, they are ideal. Their beauty is ideal. If ever it becomes real, this loveliness and charm will be disturbed because flaws will be associated with it. Themes. The Dangerous Woman, one of the title of the poem, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, is also Prufrock among the women. And there, among the women, he feels very little, unattractive, impotent, not capable of attracting women, and specifically considering their demands and their thoughts is a Popian reference. Alexander Pope's reference as, Belinda is doing there. So that's why one is there. And because the women are extremely dangerous for this reason, he is fearing to tell his heart to women, and the reason can be the failure of his first marriage. The shame of aging, there is a very clear-cut indication of the bald head and thin ears and thin legs and aging and growing old. So there is a kind of shame for aging, that if one is becoming old, one is growing, one is losing the charm and attraction, and then becomes, that is why he is referring to something like tattered crows or something like that. In another poem, he is directly scarecrows and things referred to. So the shame of aging is also a dominant theme in the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Sense of self to other. This is very important. I don't like to prolong my discussion, so I'm just referring to what Michel Foucault referred to as panopticism or panopticon, where a person is considering himself valuable from the eyes of others. And that is what is happening in the poem. Prufrock is considering himself incompetent, unattractive, old, bald-headed, thin, and not capable of loving someone. And it is because of looking at himself through others. If he had looked at himself from his own point of view, the thoughts that he entertained might be very much different. Then their superiority of imagined life over practical life. This is very important. Specifically, the entire poem, there is no practical action in the entire poem. This all from the very beginning, that is, let's go, then you and I. From that very point, it's all imagination, and this imagination is represented in a dramatic monologue. Whatever is happening throughout the poem, walking through the streets, sitting in restaurants, sawdust restaurants, and spending a night in cheap hotels, and going upstairs, the lounge, and then fearing that women will love returning back, and then going to, the sea, to the beach, and looking at mermaids who are singing. All these things are happening in imagination. And I have written a two poems, that what practically visible to people and not is I am in my imagination. And it's a fact that imagined life is always superior to practical life in terms of aesthetic pleasure, in terms of comfort, luxuries, peace, and so many other things. So And finally, that is the shallow nature of modern man. That modern man thinks to be, and you might remember once I had told you about something, and there was that most probably there is tons of wind posing from across the deep, uh, floating on the surface, posing from across the deep. It took some time to recall it. Uh, Floating on the surface, posing from across the deep. This is, this is the problem of modern man. They're learning a few terms, learning a few words. He thinks that he has become a philosopher and he knows everything. In a way, he is a jack of all trades, master of none. But even the modern man is not a jack. He is a wonderful thing there. So this shallowness in both senses, that in sense of spirituality, in sense of knowledge, and just something fashion attractive. And finally, it's my stance on it that the theme of the poem is Eliot's personal incapacity in sustaining contrasexual relations is evident in the failure of his first marriage, and his second marriage would also have failed, but because he didn't live long enough to prove whether it was successful or not. Thank you very much.